Okay, welcome to Sealm Stream. This is Sealm. All right, so today I am making lemon cupcakes. What we have here, I'm just using regular baking cake mix. I use white cake for all of my recipes, and then I add things like fresh fruit. Whipped frosting, the fluffiest kind I can possibly get, because I'm going to be mixing things into it, makes it less fluffy. So that's why I picked that. Today, I'm going to be trying out this lemon curd. I need to taste this first. Ooh, interesting texture. Let me get some toothpicks out. I'll need those to test the cupcakes to see if they're done. And I can use this to see what this tastes like. It tastes like the kind of filling that you would get if you were bought like a store-bought lemon pie. Not the kind that they bake fresh, but the kind that comes in a wrapper. I mean, it's not bad, but it tastes a little bit artificial from all the sugar and butter, I suppose. Oh, I was going to bring a little garbage container over. So I'll use that for garbage. Okay, a little disoriented. Last time I just started by cutting up strawberries, blending them. This time what I will be doing is a little bit of lemon zest. I'm going to zest this entire lemon. Let me see, I'll find a pretty one. This one looks nice. These are fully washed, so you don't have to, and I highly suggest washing them. Oftentimes they rinse them down at the farm or wherever they pick them, but not in, and a little rinse at the produce department. But you know, lemons fall out of the tree, they land in fertilizer, and then they find their way to you. So be sure to clean them really well before you use them or drop them in drinks or whatever. This is just a zester. You can find zesters of many varieties. You could also use something like this if you have, this isn't clean, but if you have like a high, whatever that's called, with little holes, you can use that. But this is just a handheld zester that I picked up at the grocery store. And what I'll be doing is just taking it and scraping off a whole bunch. And immediately I'm smelling lemon and citrus. It's really good. I decided I want to make lemon cupcakes. I'm doing cupcakes because it's a friend's birthday tomorrow, and I wanted to bring something. But I'm doing lemon cupcakes because we are entering summer. I like to use fresh ingredients. As we go into the height of summer, I feel like lemonade, that kind of thing is really refreshing, and I want to bring that to my cupcakes. I might even do 2 of these. The reason we are doing this is because, well, this is going to go into the batter, and it's full of citric acid and various oils from the lemon. It's going to impart a lot of lemon flavor. You don't really have to worry about having like stringy bits in your cupcakes, because they kind of melt down a little bit. If there are little bits left over, it won't be an issue. It'll just be, you know, little bits of lemon in your cupcake. We will also be garnishing the cupcakes at the end by sprinkling some of this lemon zest on the on top of the frosting. Last time we put chunks of strawberry. This time we'll be doing a little bit of lemon zest, and it should look nice. It's this nice golden, pretty color, and the frosting, even if we add lemon juice to it, will not have a nice, it won't look lemony, and that's what I'm going for here. I don't think the cupcakes themselves will come out very yellow or lemony looking, but it will look kind of like what lemonade looks like. Lemonade isn't necessarily yellow, but it's kind of white with a little bit of lemon looking stuff in it, and lemonade is kind of the flavor we're going for. As with any fruit cupcakes, I want the flavor to be bursting with fruit. I want it to be just one step removed from eating the actual fruit. Like, this should be like eating lemons in cake form, just not as sour and sweeter, which is what lemonade is. So I've zested 2 lemons pretty well. Let me just sweep this aside. Okay, again, I'm going to start with the liquids because I like to get those mixed together first, and then I go in and do all the solids. So we'll start with eggs. Those are the messiest. I start with those first. I can't decide on whether or not to fill these lemons. I've done it before, these cupcakes. I've filled them before, or I've gone without filling them before, and they taste great. I kind of want to fill some and leave some not filled. I'll make 2 batches. If I have extras, I can take them to work. My coworkers are going to be happy about this. So it calls for 3 egg whites. We're going to do 6. No! In terms of eggs, like why do we only use the egg whites? It has to do with the white cake recipe. If you use the egg yolks, it's more of yellow cake. That's kind of the difference. The cake will be richer. In my opinion, it tastes, I feel like I can taste the egginess, but that could be a result of not mixing it well enough. And that's what happens if you don't mix it. It tastes like scrambled eggs or French toast in one part of your cake, and the rest comes out kind of bland, and it doesn't come out quite right. I don't know how to describe it. Now that I've spontaneously decided to do 2 batches instead of 1, I'm going to have to go zest more lemons. So I probably shouldn't have washed the zester already. I'm going to go back and zest a few more. But I can do that while they're baking, so that's not a big deal. And here's number 6. Another hard one. Okay, we have to up our oil from a third cup of oil to 2/3. So here's my measuring cup with both metric and the other kind. We're going to go up to here. And I'm just using vegetable oil. And I'm going to go a little bit higher, like I normally do, just a little bit extra. Add a little bit more moisture. And I believe we call for 2 cups of water. 1 cup, updated, we'll double that to 2. Gonna go 14 ounces instead of 16 ounces of water because I'm going to introduce a little bit of lemon juice to this mixture. Not a lot. Citrus, if overdone in the oven, tends to go a little bit bitter. A good sized lemon like this has about an ounce of juice in it. But we're going to squeeze it into the mixing cup instead of directly into the mixing bowl, and you'll see why in a moment here. This is my squeezer. It's really something I bought at a wine and liquor store. It's used for squeezing lemons and limes to make drinks from, but it works really well here too. And fortunately, none of them came out, but these seeds can sometimes end up in the juice. So trying to not squeeze it directly in case we accidentally put some seeds into our mixture, which we would then have to go fish out. How much does that give us? Not quite 2 ounces. I'll do this lemon too. Okay, that's going into the mix too. And we will keep this out because we will get more lemon juice for the frosting. So we'll save the rest of this. Start with the cake mix. taking out all the clumps there. I'm going to use 2 batches. I can't see who just joined, but welcome to the channel. This is Seum Stream. This channel is Seum Stream. This is Seum, and I'm making lemon cupcakes today. I'm lazy, so I'm doing it with the cake mix. But you feel free to bring your own recipe for white cake. You can find that on the internet. Lemon, or rather, white cake, flour, sugar, eggs, water, a little bit of a rising agent like yeast or baking soda. Just figure out the proportions and then introduce lemon the same way we're doing here. I like mixing by hand because you don't want to over mix, especially with cupcakes. This is something I said in my last stream, but I'll say it again. Over mixing results in flat cupcakes. It causes baking soda or yeast to activate. As soon as it comes in contact with liquids, it'll start to activate and release gases. If you overmix, you stir the gases right out of your batter before it has a chance to bake in the oven. And then it won't rise because all the rising has already happened before it even had a chance to solidify in the oven, and you get hockey pucks for cupcakes. My goal here is just to make sure there aren't any big chunks, because those won't come out during the baking process, and you'll get white uncooked parts in your cupcakes, which, you know, nobody wants. And also I'm trying to get really close to the edges and the bottom of the mixing bowl. The eggs tend to hang out at the bottom. I don't know if you see this, but there's a solid clump of egg right there. If you don't mix that in, you will have bites of cupcake that taste like French toast or scrambled egg. The egg flavor will be very pronounced. So I'm making sure that I get really deep in there and break that up. It's already starting to smell pretty lemony, even though I've only added 2 ounces of lemon juice to this mix. The next step is to take about 2 big spoonfuls of lemon zest that we zested earlier and just drop that in. We're doing a double batch. I'm just going to do all of it because I like lemon flavor. I like it to be really pronounced. In any flavor that I add, I want it to just pop when you bite into it. So that's essentially the lemon zest from 2 whole lemons. And we'll stir that in too. I want to make sure that's really well distributed so that the citrus can leach out of the rinds, the citrus, the lemon zest that we've got here, and into the cupcakes. This isn't such a bad thing, taking a moment to pause and zest a lemon, because what's happening right now in our batter is that the lemons are already starting to introduce some of their citric acid and lemon flavor into the batter. The longer they have to do that, the better. On the other hand, the thing I mentioned about the gases forming inside the batter, that's already happening too. So we do have to move. We can't take too long or these cupcakes won't rise properly. Okay, I'm going to zest this last one, and I'll do it while they're baking. I can smell the lemons now, even more so than before. And one thing I said that I'm not going to do this time is forget to preheat the oven. So let's go ahead and do that. Bring this up, set the oven to 350, and we'll get that going. The next part is loading up these cupcakes. Let's go ahead and load these cupcakes load the cupcake trays with cupcakes. I got rid of that one. That one didn't come out round. It's going to introduce kinks as soon as you add the liquid to it. Once you put the batter in, and it's going to make some weird shaped cupcakes. It's not a big deal, but I have a lot of cupcake cups here, so why not? One batch of cupcakes makes 16 to 18 cupcakes. Since we are doing a double batch, we're going to get close to 36, 3 dozen, if not 3 dozen. What we will be doing is filling half of them. That'll cut the time down quite a bit. Filling them all would take a while. Okay, so that's done. Let's start loading it up. You can already see some bubbles forming in here. That is the baking soda at work. Okay, this is a 1/8 cup scoop. Pick it up at any grocery store. It gives me 2 ounces of batter to work with. We're gonna go in and give each of these about 3 ounces of batter. Anything less and your cupcakes won't really expand over the surface of the cupcake tray, and it makes them a lot harder to pull out of the tray when they're baked. And I just like the way the top tastes. It's that delicious golden muffin top. Seinfeld even had an episode entirely about muffin tops, multiple episodes I think. There was a whole story arc about how they started a business selling just the tops of muffins, because that is the best part. And why would we, knowing this, deprive ourselves of muffin tops by underfilling these cupcakes just to have more cupcakes? It's the same amount of cupcake, but in a tastier form. So now these are filled up, I'm going to give them another half or so. Another half scoop. That's how I get my 3 ounce number. You don't have to worry about them looking nice in the cup. When you add that second scoop, it'll settle in. It'll flatten out over time. You're not going to get lumpy cupcakes just because of that. The main goal is just to try to level them out, have them all about the same amount. And if someone wants to edit this, feel free to fast forward this process. There's a whole lot to because I need to put these in the oven. What I'm going to do is I'll try to put these side by side, and I'll put the smaller tray underneath. I also lose a lot of heat because with my current camera setup, I can't really bend over too well. I just have to lean over the oven door, which means it stays all the way open, and it stays open for probably longer than it should be. Okay. 2 of those cupcake trays made it to the center rack. 1 is lower. It's probably going to take a little bit longer. I made a real big mess with these eggs that I was doing earlier. Gross. Okay, next step, zest another lemon. I'm going to be using this to garnish these cupcakes when they're done. Just a little bit of zest sprinkled on the frosting. This is why I wash my hands so often. Okay. Now I'm for sure done with this. Okay, let's set up the frosting. Ooh, that looks nice and whipped already. I need a butter knife. Okay, give it 25 stirs. Now it's this nice creamy consistency. I need another bowl. All right. I expect to use the entire container of frosting this time because we are doing a double batch. I've got 1/2 lemon already, and here's another. Again, I'm squeezing the lemon into a separate container and not directly into what I'm mixing with. Not just because I want to measure the amount that I use, but because it squeezes seeds out too, and we don't want to put seeds in there. You know what they say, when life gives you lemons, make cupcakes. I'm going to take some of that extra pulp out too. So that's about an ounce, and if you are inclined to metric, it's 50 milliliters. So for this, the lemon's going to be really potent, the lemon juice. So I'm not really concerned about the lemon flavor coming out too lightly. Really what I'm concerned here more is the texture. So we'll use a little bit of that. That's maybe a 1/2 or a 1/4, and stir that in. It's about a 1/4 ounce, or more closer to 1/3 of an ounce of lemon juice. This actually comes out really nice and smooth. Let's see how it tastes. Really faint. It's not lemony enough. Screw it. Just pour all of it in there. If I water it down too much, I'll add some more frosting. And you know what? That was too much. All right. All of it's going back in the frosting container. I'm just going to mix all of it together. The lemon is kind of, the acidity of the lemon's reaching that critical mass where it's starting to make the dairy product separate. So I got to get it mixed back into the dilute the acidity as quick as possible. Okay, so the lesson is don't add too much at once. Use a little bit at a time because you can't take things out. You can add more to dilute it, but you can't take things out. Fortunately, this texture seems to be okay. It's a little runny. That's a good amount of lemon flavor. Still a little light for my taste, but that's pretty decent. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to chill this so that it's a little bit, it survives the frosting process a little bit better and doesn't run all over the place. So I'm going to cover this and put it in the refrigerator. Here's the frosting we used last week here's the frosting that we didn't use last week. Let me see if this is still good. It usually says something like keep for up to 2 weeks after opening. Let me see what it says. Cover and refrigerate any remaining frosting for up to 30 days. So if we need to, I can water this down, or I can thicken it up with some more frosting here. Let's just see how this stirs. This is it's dried out a little bit, which might be good. It might be to our advantage to help thicken up the other frosting. This one isn't even the whipped frosting. I made a mistake last time. Okay, we'll use this. We'll use it. It'll work. The next part then is to, I guess if I'm going to fill half of these cupcakes, I need to get the syringe ready. And I just washed that. I just washed the plastic syringe, but it needs to be dried out. This is super thick. I don't know if this is going to come up well. It's not really coming up, and it's really hard to squeeze. It's really, 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 really thick. That means I need to warm it up a little bit. Okay, that was about 18 seconds in the microwave. Let's see if that softens this up. Ooh. That actually melted it quite a bit. And I also realized that I didn't reset the timer. So these have been in here for about another extra, was it 5 minutes? I'll pull this one out because it's been in the longest. And it's looking like it's done around the edges. It's a little brown, golden brown around the edges. I'm gonna kill the heat. Get a new toothpick out. These are done. Okay, since I did get a little bit of cake coming up, I'm going to test a few more, but they all look pretty good. Yeah, they're done. Okay, I'm going to let the others sit in the oven for a little while longer. This one was in the oven while I was testing the others, so it's had a little bit more oven time. Let me go ahead and start filling these. This is really hard to push down because it got thicker as it cooled. I just double filled that cupcake. That cupcake is going to be extra awesome later. All right, why not? Let's just use up the rest of this. I'll save some in case I want to put it in the frosting. Maybe the heat of the stuff I already mixed in will help soften up this. I don't want to have to keep reheating it and drying it out, making it even thicker to work with. So let me try that. Oh, that's working. All right. Some of these early ones, I don't know if I fully filled them. So I'll just top a few of them off if it doesn't look like it's got that much. Okay. I'm going to fill a few more because I have some extra stuff to fill with. Let's do 1, 2. 2 more. Yeah, I accidentally double filled the cupcake, but you know what I said before? And I think it's going to be something I'm going to say a lot more from now on, because it's totally true. Cupcake mistakes are the most delicious mistakes. I can do a few more. There is a high-pitched squealing that is coming from my pipes right now. I forgot to turn that pipe off. There's a valve upstairs connected to some pipes in the bathroom that make that squealing when I don't turn them off. And I've had plumbers look at it, and they've told me that they've never seen anything before like that in their lives, and they'd have to probably open up the wall to get inside the pipe to see what's doing that. When I first moved in here, I low-key thought it was a little bit haunted. Or rather, I thought it was low-key haunted, just a little bit. That's delicious. All right, it's done with that. How do I know which of these are filled and which ones aren't? I think it'll be a surprise. Yeah, I'm gonna mix them up. Some will be filled, some won't be. We're gonna hide which ones are and which ones aren't with some frosting. Okay, last time I made the mistake of frosting these when they were still a little heated up. They weren't chilled entirely yet, and the frosting was melting right off of them. And let me check on the frosting that we chilled. It feels nice and cool. It looks a little bit thicker now. Not quite as runny. That'll spread a little bit better. Okay, how are these cupcakes? They still feel a little warm. So what I'm going to do next is use this lemon juice. Hey, kitty. Hey. This is agave nectar. It's a low-calorie sweetener. It's natural, and it's a little bit sweeter than... It tastes sweeter than actual sugar. It's like this. There's like... I don't know how they measure that, but it is. So it's low sugar, low calorie, but it actually tastes sweeter than it actually is. So what we're going to do is we're going to mix that up with a little bit of this lemon juice. That's about a ½ ounce of lemon juice there. Get rid of that. And we are going to match it with sweetener. And then the best ingredient, I'm not going to go ahead and use like a shaker cup right now, but there's that. And any monetization that this would have had on YouTube is now down the drain. Normally I'd put this in a shaker cup with ice, shake it out a little bit. But I'm being lazy and I've been doing a lot of dishes, so I'm not going to do that today. This is called a lemon drop. Don't let those lemons go to waste. All right, now that our cupcakes have had some time to chill, we can go ahead and start frosting them. I'm kind of inclined to fill the rest of these, except I don't have enough jelly to do it. And I've already washed my syringe, so these will be extra lemon, mild lemon. Before I fill these, I'm going to take them out because last time it was a terrible mess trying to get them up and out. This is my trusty cupcake carrier. You'll remember this from last week. I broke another cupcake. It's broken. I have to eat it. Fortunately, I have far more than 2 dozen, so I have extra cupcakes. The damaged ones will stay with me. The undamaged ones, oh, I picked a piece and ate off this one too. So that's staying here. These didn't rise as much as I had hoped. They're a little bit flat and pancakey on top rather than the muffin top. And that goes, again, to leaving them in warm places before you bake them. If you leave them out too long after you mix them, or you mix them too hard, that's kind of what happens. They're not terrible. Some of these are a little bit flatter, but I do have some decent rise out of others. And I'll go ahead and take those ones to the party tomorrow. You see, I wanted to bring half filled and half unfilled. So what I'll do is I'll keep these. I'll put some of these up here. Okay, so I think these are a dozen. 3, 6, 9, 12. Yeah, so I've got 14 filled cupcakes and 10 unfilled cupcakes. That's what I'll bring to the party. I get to keep more of the unfilled ones. I get to keep more of the filled ones to myself. Okay, the next step is filling the cupcakes. Oh, here's our chilled frosting. It feels cool to the touch. Let's take a little dollop, drop it right in the center of the cupcake. Do that for a few of them. And then you just take the back of the spoon, lightly touch the top of the cupcake. I'll bring the camera down a little bit. Just lightly touch the top of it and roll it out. Use the stickiness of the frosting to bring it up, and then if it's thick enough, when you lift up, you'll get a nice little peak. You can use a frosting bag and pipe it if you want. You can get fancy with the different tips, but if you don't have that at home, this is an easy way to do it just with a regular spoon. I'll take a little bit more for that one. All right, and we have this lemon zest that we prepared while they were baking. And just a few bits of zest on each of these. Nothing fancy, just sprinkle a little bit. Doesn't have to be precise or in a specific pattern. Just crumble a little bit on there. So if it wasn't clear already, it should be clear that there's something yellow in this cupcake. And if you smell it, that something is lemon. Okay. All right, this tray is done. Go ahead and load up the second level. Oh, I spilled some frosting right there. And get something to clean that with. All right, time to do the next layer. Take a little pinch. If you find that it's falling down close together in little clumps, if you're willing to do so, it's a little bit messier, but drop it from a little bit higher, trying to bring the camera up, and it will spread a little bit more as it drops. The zest doesn't really do a whole lot for the flavor on top of the cupcake. It's more for aesthetic purposes. Really, the lemon flavor comes from the zest that's inside the cupcake. Okay, so these are ready to go in the fridge. And then I'll do the other 11 that I am keeping to myself or taking to work on Tuesday. I have Monday off for Memorial Day, national holiday, so I think most people in the United States have that day off. Okay, those are done. And now all that's left are these. How am I going to store these? I could put a sheet of plastic wrap over them, but that would smush the frosting. So let me see if I have some Tupperware. I think I can fit 3 or 4 in each one. That's 8, and that leaves 3 out, which will be consumed promptly. I think these would actually be easier to frost and remove from the pan than to do them in here and then try to frost them in these containers. So I'll go ahead and frost them here, but I will take them out of the cups before I do it. That'll make them easier to handle. As long as I'm careful not to bump them back into the cups or knock them over, it'll be fine. Wouldn't it be easiest to put them on the table then? Yes, it would. That would 100% be easier. But I did not think of that. Three cupcakes per container. Okay. Not as good as 4 like I thought I was going to get. I don't have a container for these, so these are going to have to be eaten. I think that's the only solution. Alright, so I've got 2 damaged cupcakes, so clearly I have to eat them. Here's one of them. I think this is one of the filled cupcakes. If not, I'll have to eat another one until I'll have to keep eating them until I find a filled one. Alright, so it's got this nice crust here. Nice and brown. Texture's crisp. The flavor, I taste the lemon, but it's not as strong as I thought it would be. I think if I were to do this again, 2 ounces of lemon juice in the batter is not enough. I think that's what I normally use for a single batch. So I should have doubled it to 4 ounces and subtracting that from the 2 cups of water. So a cup and a half of water and 4 ounces of lemon juice for a double batch or 2 ounces for a single batch. The second bite, a lot more lemony. The frosting carries a lot of lemon flavor. The sweetness and the citric acid is reminiscent of, I'm actually thinking of Fruit Loops right now. I haven't actually gotten the filling yet. I've been eating around it. You can see the filling right here. I have to say, the lemon flavor is a little bit reminiscent of lemonade too. And that in itself makes it feel like I'm eating something healthier and more refreshing because it contains fresh lemons. Okay, that bite had the filling. that brings a lot more tanginess to this, but I'm not entirely sold. I think it could be a little bit better balance. It's not that tangy on the outside, but it's tangy, really tangy once you get to the center. So I think a little bit more lemon juice, a little bit less filling would be a more perfect balance. But overall, not bad. I don't know how this happened, but this stream ended up being 20 minutes longer, or 30 minutes longer than the last stream. It probably has to do with, well, the 20 minutes of cleaning that I did before actually starting, and the fact that I did 2 batches instead of 1, all the extra time filling cupcakes. Filling cupcake cups, and then filling the cupcakes themselves. I'm sure if I did this regularly, it would be a lot faster. Also the fact that I mix everything by hand and I wash everything by hand as I go along, that also prolongs the process. But not bad for 35 or so cupcakes. Thank you, everybody who stopped by to watch.